always occupied a strategic position. Its colors, blue and white, have contributed to its legendary status. Before it became a chic seaside resort, it attracted many artists.
คนเนาะกระจัดเดียวละมั้งเอาไว้กระจัดเมาส์กระดีดา
The village is currently being renovated
ตัวนี้แหละตันตันละตะพิตัญญา
Outside the center, facing the sea, the Baron Derlinger Palace is a haven of peace. Built between 1912 and 1922 as a private home, the building's fine interior decoration is influenced by the Spanish, Italian, and Andalusian Arab styles. It now houses the Center for Arabic and Mediterranean Music. Its first owner, the Baron Derlinger, devoted himself to painting, enjoyed the company of the musicians of his day, and was interested in medieval treatises on Arabic music. He began the mammoth task of translating these treatises into French. His work and interest in music were of such importance that King Philip I of Egypt asked him to provide the first conference on Arabic music, which was held in 1932. As you leave the Tunis area for nearby Cap Bon, the heady fragrance of orange trees fills the air. In Beni Khaled, Habib Yassidi and his brothers own 350 trees, most of which are orange trees. Navel oranges require 6 months hard work and harvesting from January to May, depending on the weather conditions. The rise in production and harvest costs has dampened his enthusiasm for this ancestral practice.
The blossom here corresponds to next year's crop. It has to be treated and nurtured so that it grows and lasts until next year. It's very costly. Then you have to look after it so that it bears fruit. This blossom requires a lot of care.
He's picking the last oranges himself, since labor costs have increased too. On the east coast of Cap Bon, in Calibia, fishing boats are still returning to port after a night at sea. The trawlers cast their nets at 5 p.m. yesterday, and the first returned earlier this morning. Calibia is one of Tunisia's most important sardine ports. The fish is sold directly to wholesalers on the quayside.
Anche solo da qua. Tale parte mi viene chicken.
Magnificent manta rays. They may look scary, but they're completely harmless, and their meat is much in demand by restaurant owners. The larger of the two weighs 165 kilos and is bought for the equivalent of 230 euros. The east coast of Cap Bon fits the image people have of a turquoise to indigo blue sea lapping against beaches of white sand, like that of Hamad Jibli. The Punic site of Kekuan is one of the most remarkable in the world. Abandoned in the 3rd century, it is the last vestige of a Carthaginian city. A city with sophisticated bathrooms, replete with bathtubs and richly decorated with mosaics. Facing the sea, you cannot imagine what this city was like with its fine houses, artists' workshops and temples. The northern tip of Cap Bon, the point closest to the Italian coast, is a unique spot, a kind of ecological sanctuary, flown over by thousands of migrating birds. It is home to Cap Bon falcons mainly hunt partridges, but the surrounding forest is sparrowhawk territory. Falcons can be lazy when prey is scarce. Jalidi Chegley has been running the club for the past 30 years. He's often surrounded by enthusiasts from neighbouring villages because this traditional form of hunting is still very popular. The falcon has just spotted some prey. It knocks it out with its beak in mid-flight.
In the Gulf states, as was the case in Europe in the Middle Ages, falconry is reserved for the wealthiest social classes. But here in Tunisia, this type of hunting has always been more of a working class tradition. And what sets us apart from the others is that we Tunisians only hunt partridges with our falcons.
With its pastures and fields of grain, this area is also one of Tunisia's granaries. More than 60% of the country's agricultural produce comes from here. On Menzel Lagoon, pink flamingos laze in the sun. Many take advantage of Cat Bond's migratory corridors to come and spend a milder winter. Continuing southwards, we go to Kairouan, considered the fourth most holy place in the Islamic world, with its great mosque. In the 9th century, the Aghlabids devised ingenious works of art to supply the city with fresh water. The Kasbah is surrounded by thick walls that now house a hotel. The vaults and the ornate ceilings of this former barracks have been preserved. In the basement, once the site of the prison, there is a smoking room and a number of tea rooms. The Great Mosque is considered the holiest place in North Africa. Also known as the Mosque of Uqba, after the man who founded it in 670 AD. It is one of Islam's most beautiful and harmonious monuments. The mosque was enlarged and modified by the different dynasties that ruled over Tunisia. But whether it is the gates, galleries, or the 17-bay prayer hall, its chancel is as it was when originally built. Imposing studded wooden doors lead into the vast prayer hall with its 414 pillars. Between two red marble columns, you can see a magnificent 19th century mosaic. The Mosque of the Barber is also very popular. The mausoleum of Sidi Sabi is actually a zawiya, or Islamic religious building, which lies outside the walls of the Medina and dates from the 17th century. The faithful worship a local Kairouan saint here, Abu Zamar el-Balaoui, a companion of the Prophet Muhammad. According to legend, he kept 3 hairs of the Prophet's beard, hence the building's and lemon.
It is nothing like a modern Arabic pastry. It's an old tradition. Makrouds have been made for several hundred years and come from Kairouan. In fact, they've existed for at least 2 centuries. You can find makrouds all over Tunisia now. But it's still a local specialty.
It is one of the country's most popular snacks. Kairouan is also known for its magnificent carpets. To find beautiful, locally made items, you have to venture down the Medina's narrow lanes.
แล้วตัวละนะเว้ยquite a bit quite a bit relax me
In the former governor's house, the Alanis sell magnificent carpets made on the premises. Each room boasts finely carved ceilings of teak, cedar and marble. This residence of the beys and pashas dates from the 18th century. A stark contrast with the austere style of the Aghlabids who initially expanded the city.
Kena bila Muslim Islam tak lajam. Akhirnya le pakri boja ya.
Most carpets are made in the surrounding villages.
Pa Islam Muslim dan
Some
pakri
carpets
po
take up to 6
kata
months
betul
to
no.
complete. For Tahar Uslati, this type of carpet is the most sought after. It forms part of the dowry of girls from good families.
The real Kairouan carpet is made of naturally colored wool. The wool is not dyed. There are usually 40,000 knots per square meter. We make them in every size, from 1 to 16 square meters. It's a quality carpet that adds to the richness
We
of the
thought
home.
we bet. Tak ada. Lalu kita mau, kita mau ni. Abi,
Medina conceals many other stunning buildings, such as this splendid family home. Dated from the 18th century,
kita mau
it
nyanyi.
also belongs to the
Dia orang
Alanis,
kau
who
nak
is no
buat
longer
belum?
occupied,
Bisa kira belum?
since most of their children have left
Kita
home.
mau.
Its owner hopes it will soon be turned into a museum.
Biarlah bola. Kita mau.
Heading back to the coast, we arrive in another of Tunisia's historic towns, Mahdia. Once the capital of the first Shiite caliphate of the Muslim world, its foundation in 916 made this coast the most important region of the Sahel. Still one of the most important in the country, its port is pretty quiet today.
Banyak.
There was a storm brewing last night, and a few boats decided to go to sea. The fishermen bring back octopus and small tuna that will be cooked with tomato sauce or added to a fish couscous. Tahar's boat spent the night in bad weather, and yet he's brought back a good catch, about 200 kilos of tuna.
Pada Cina. Cicak. Hard.
Located on a narrow peninsula,
Nampak kami
Tahar
cerita ni.
is also
Mau
known
lele.
for its maritime cemetery, from where you get a magnificent view of the Mediterranean. It's a favorite place for a stroll. In the Medina, away from the touristy centre, there is a very popular workshop, which belongs to Karim Arous. This silk weaving workshop specializes in traditional wedding outfits. The most beautiful tunics feature motifs made with gold and silver thread. Even though the main article, worn by a bride, sells for €2,500, Karim Arous has had to set up several other workshops in order to satisfy the demand.
There's the outfit that this gentleman here is making. It's 4.5 meters long and 1.5 meters wide. Takes 2 weeks to make.
A lot of wine.
It's a draped dress, the traditional wedding dress of Mahdia in southern Tunisia, towns like Jerba, Gabay, and so on.
resources. The impressive outline of El Gem Amphitheatre can be seen from far away. Together with the Colosseum in Rome, it is one of the best preserved. The amphitheatre could hold up to 30,000 spectators. Still today, stages are often set up here for various artistic performances. The first boat leaving Sfax for the Kakara Islands is taken by regulars, shopkeepers who have bought goods on the mainland, men and women who are going to work in the archipelago for the day. The tourists will arrive later in the morning. From Sfax, the Kakana archipelago lies only just above sea level. It's a harsh yet enchanting place, a long wild palm grove cut off from the agitation of the mainland. It's an arid spit of land, a landscape of palm trees, sand and long windswept stretches. These very